Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So continuing on with Tszyu, because I'm telling you right now, I'm thinking about disbanding my channel because my boy got beat. But you know what, man? He deserves to be praised for deciding to go forward, man, with the heart and spirit, coming off of a tough fight with a 6'6" southpaw and Sebastian Fundora, and going on to fight a guy like Murtazaliev, who I just think a lot of people underestimated, man. But I just think Tszyu right now, you see fighters go through this, man, and they end up in a very lonely place. But when it comes to boxing fans, what these fighters are feeling right now, it counts for very little bit, man. I just think boxing fans it's like a slippery slope with these guys, you know what I'm saying? They want you to get in tough fights. Then you get in tough fights. Then they basically say you were a bum or you were dumb for taking a tough fight. Taking a tough fight. And it's like, what do you as a boxing fan want? These fighters, right? You're seeing it happen. I mean, De La Hoya is making fun of Eddie Hearn. A lot of his fighters are losing because these guys are now getting into those 50-50 fights. They're getting into fights that are highly competitive where you really don't know who's going to win. And if there is a case where you feel opponent A is going to win and they don't, it causes us to sit back, man, and have healthy dialogue to try to, brainstorm on how the outcome was achieved. But the bottom line, man, is Tim got rocked. And he got dropped big time by, Bakram Murtazaliev, man. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right. And I don't know what's going to happen because it's not that... Okay, so he got beat down. No question about that. But he was doing some stuff that allowed some predictability there on behalf of Murtazaliev. But the good thing about it, if there is something good we can take out of this, is Tszyu, the fight didn't go past 3 rounds. Let me tell you something. If Tim would have been taking those hard shots, rounds 4, rounds 5, round 6, all the way to the 12th round, we'd have a problem. We would have a problem. You look at some of these fighters today, I ain't even gonna say none of their names, right? You guys just fill in the blank, who just stayed in fights too long. And you see them go into subsequent fights where all of a sudden now, they're not looking the same. So I definitely feel when you get hit with hard shots, round after round after round, and you don't get knocked out, I think that takes a pound of flesh out of a fighter. And I just don't think they're ever the same. Now, for Tszyu, again, if I could pull a positive from his losses, at least he didn't get rocked and dropped repeatedly over 12 rounds. The end came pretty quickly. But he got hit with some shit in them first 3 rounds. When you get hit and your leg comes off the ground, you get hit and you start dancing salsa in the ring, you get hit and you look over at the opponent like, what the fuck did he just hit me with? That means that you're getting damaged. I'm trying to think, it was Curtis Stevens when he got hit by Triple G when he was on his back and he was looking at Triple G like, he had that look in his face like, what the hell was that hit me? And that's what Tszyu had in his eyes when he got hit by Murtazaliev. He kind of looked over and like, what was that? Like some shit he ain't never been hit with. So that tells me a whole lot about Murtazaliev and about his power. But the bottom line, man, is maybe Tszyu, maybe we were a bit naive, a bit reckless in how we were kind of guiding our opinions towards Murtazaliev and thinking that Murtazaliev didn't stand a chance. I thought he had a chance. No doubt. I said it's whoever lands the big right hand, but I'm just rocking with Tszyu because I'm a Tszyu fan. I said Tszyu can get there, but let me tell you something. This thing about A side and B side, I think that shit needs to stop. If you want to have an A side and B side in boxing, because who's the money maker? Okay, cool. But branding a boxer as an A side and branding a boxer as a B side going into 50-50 matchups, that shit needs to stop. Because that's what I think hurt the bookies It hurt fans. And I think it hurts the fighters. When you sit there and tell somebody, hey, basically you're superior to this person, you're better to this person because you've labeled them as an A-side fighter, that can tend to fuck with their mental. And it causes them to become a bit overconfident, and they don't get the end result that they are expecting because they've been told they're the A-side, and the fans don't get the end result they've been expecting because they've been brainwashed to believe that a fighter is the A-side much better than their opponent because there hasn't been much visibility on the quote-unquote B-side fighter. Because when it comes to marketability, it's not always an even playing field. But in some fighters in the teams, they don't want all the lights, camera, and all that bullshit. They just sit back in the lab and keep working, which is kind of a Murtazaliev. But now he's there at the forefront, and we're going to see what Murtazaliev does, especially if he's going to use his momentum to go into another big fight. I think fighters are going to put duck sauce on their fried rice. But I don't know. Can't be taking fighters lightly, man. And when you see guys like, and this is the thing, like, you got guys who are hating on Tszyu, Sergio Mora in particular, talking about how he just came off of a tough split decision loss to a very tough, strong southpaw in Sebastian Fundora. Look, Fundora, he's strong, he's tall, he's got reach, but don't act like Fundora beat Tszyu down. I think they both inflicted, heavy damage on each other, but it wasn't no goddamn 12 rounds of Murtazaliev Tszyu when Fundora fought Tszyu. So Sergio Mora is just a hater. It just so happens that Murtazaliev put the bing bings on Tszyu, and now Sergio Mora's out here like I told you. So Tim Tszyu is just an ordinary fighter. My thing is this with Sergio Mora: what the fuck did he do? You know what I'm saying? As a pro fighter, what did he do? It's like a person can say, "Well, what did you do as a pro fighter?" I wasn't a pro fighter, dumb motherfucker. But what did Sergio Mora do? Like, I find these motherfuckers be out who did really nothing. And I'm talking about, he was a champion. Fuck out of here. They're so quick to come out here, man, and say negative shit about fighters when they're a fighter. That's like me, right? I'm a veteran. Man, you're not going to get me to come out here in public, man, and say a bunch of horrible shit about another veteran. Like, you're just not going to do that. You know why? Because I know how the fuck that shit goes. Whether it's issues with your wife, issues with your kids, issues with your coworkers coming out here after retirement or after serving, man, and dealing with fucking large crowds and all that. I know how that goes. I know how motherfuckers can lose it. But you're not going to hear me say shit, not in public. Maybe I have a conversation with some buddies, but you're not going to hear me do that. So you got to understand, me, when I hear these guys who are professional boxers and did things at the highest level, when they come out here so quick, it's one thing to be a boxing analyst and analyze, but when you want to kick a man when he's fucking down, that's supposed to be like your colleague and shit, a guy who only a concentric few can understand what y'all put yourselves through. Why the fuck would you come out here and shit on him? I just think that shit is corny. But anyway, man, let me get off my soapbox because I'm not even looking. This ain't even hood champion talk. This is me talking. It's like, it's almost like having a brother or sister you don't get along with and coming out here and trying to, talk shit about them. That's fucking crazy. Maybe you do, but not to the public. So when I see these guys do it, take an opportunity to kick a man when he's down, I think that shit is corny, man. But I'll tell you what, if Tszyu would have won, so the good thing about people who kind of tee up your downfall, right, is if you come now and you get a fucking home run. Well, now you dancing around like Puff Daddy in the shiny suits now. You know what I'm saying? You thought I told you that we won't stop. But if you fucking come and lose, well, it makes them say, I told you so, I told you so. And in this case, some of these cockleholes get to say, I told you so. But let me tell you something. Murtazaliev was never one of those gimme fights. It was never something that was understood that he would win. Okay? Simple. Anybody saying something different, man, I just think if you're saying something different, well, then you're taking it to the goddamn stupid. You got to be bold. You got to be adventurous sometimes, man, in boxing, man. I think we need to see more guys doing that. And praise them even in a loss. But the winner, of course, he deserves to be, hoisted up on people's shoulders, man, and, champion to the next big thing. But to just come now, man, and suggest today that these guys are just fucking on these kamikaze missions is just bullshit to me, But anyway, we'll see what happens going next. I just think when you look at fighters just losing, right? Are they losing because they're having a guy come and coochie-coo them every round and win on points like Shakur Stevenson? Or are they coming in here and getting blasted out in a destructive nature. And Tim Tszyu, look, much as I'm a Tim Tszyu fan, I gotta, look, I like boxing. Tim Tszyu got blasted out in a destructive nature, man. And that shit is heart wrenching because I was rooting for that guy, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to think. I only had two favorite fighters, right? Zab Judah and Chris Bird, because when I was boxing, I learned a lot from those guys. I'm right-handed. I fought southpaw. I learned a lot. I learned how to throw that goddamn uppercut, that lead uppercut like Zab, how to stay comfortable in the pocket when shots are coming at you, and my defense. I learned a lot from Chris Bird. But when I think of Tim Tszyu, I just look at how people were towards him, man. And I didn't really like that. I was like, why are they you're not giving this man any goddamn credit? I'm trying to think of if there's another fighter out there who I watch. I'm like, damn, they're doing this guy dirty. I'm rooting for him to win. Right now, I'm like that with Devin Haney. Even though I don't like some things about him and his pops and the shit that comes out their mouth, but I don't like how they just people just don't like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand being annoyed with him and people can like who they want, dislike who they don't. But it's the reasons why I'm hearing people don't like Devin Haney, and I don't like that. It's like I hear some people say some shit about Caleb Plant. I don't like that. When it comes to race and religion, to dislike somebody just because of that shit, I mean, you hit a fucking brick wall over here with me. Those are deal breakers for me. So that's why I kind of root for Devin Haney. I never did before. I just saw him and whoever opponent he was fighting. It's a boxing match. I call it like I see it, but I ain't gonna lie. I'm kind of pulling for Devin a little bit because I think he was done wrong. And Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder, I root for those two because of the reasons why they came into boxing with both of their daughters having illnesses. But for Tim Tszyu, I root for him because I just felt like no one gave that dude a chance. And to see him just, over and over, I think to fight the odds and then getting there with Fundora, have his little setback with that in the fight he should have won. But then to see what happened with Murtazaliev and how people are laughing and saying a bunch of shit. Like, Keith Thurman can say what he wants. Let me tell you something. If Keith Thurman would have fought Tim Tszyu, this is just my opinion. I think, I'm not talking about this fight here. I'm talking about instead of Fundora. You got to understand, Tim Tszyu was getting ready for Keith Thurman. Then they throw a fucking 6'6" cockroach at him. And he's got to fight that. So you tell me how you would feel. In the 19th fucking hour, right? They say, yo, you're not fighting this guy, this 5'8", 5'9" guy, same height as you, reach about the same as you. We're gonna throw you this fucking 6'6" alien, this cockroach. And now you gotta go in there and figure things out against this fucking guy with an 81-inch reach. You tell me the secret society didn't have something to do with that? To bring to make Tim Tszyu uncomfortable and put him in an extremely high risk fight. Out of all the fighters they had over there, it had to be Tim Tszyu. And don't say, well, if you look at the pecking order, Sebastian Fundora was next. We know how this shit works. Don't come out here talking this bullshit, man. We know that things don't always work the way they're supposed to. The secret society can pick and pull and choose who they want to go into fights, man. But it doesn't matter at this point. I just think when you look at Tim Tszyu, he can't afford to come back being one-paced, one-dimensional. Can't come back with the same little 1-2 and just think the right hand's gonna get him out of trouble, is gonna save the day. That's like Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder, when he was with Mark Breland, he had more intangibles. He had a lot more as far as his skill set that he showed in the ring. Tim Tszyu is got to be careful because I think he's kind of going down that Deontay Wilder rabbit hole, which is just everyone knows now. Okay, Tim Tszyu's big weapon is the right hand. Tim Tszyu's explosive, but he's gonna have to come up with something else. It's like Manny Pacquiao. It's just the big left hand, and that big left hand got him really far in his career. Freddie Roach brought along the right hook, and now they had another weapon to worry about. Miguel Cotto was always an all-around fighter, break you down, mash up, crash up type fighter, but it was the big left hook. De La Hoya, his right hand was all right. He threw a lot of combinations. That's what helped De La Hoya, but he had the big left hook. So there's nothing wrong for Tim Tszyu to have the big right hand, but he's going to have to come with some combinations, and he's going to have a couple other weapons and some things he does differently that I think is going to help him to get back in position for a title at 154. I just hope he doesn't have a knee-jerk reaction and they throw another goddamn, what's that called? Throw him a bone and say, hey, look, we can get you a fight at 160. than have him go up there, even fighting a guy like Carlos Adames or someone, and now he goes up there and ends up getting clipped. Now he got brain mad all over the fucking ring again. I hope they're smart with it. But I don't know, you just can't teach heart. Yeah, when you see a guy like Tszyu get up, eyes glossy, man, and he got respect in his heart, respect in his eyes for his opponent, and at the same time, you can tell that it's almost like his pride wanted him to go forward, but his mind was saying, don't do it. So he went forward, I think, a bit weary. I think his corner should have stopped it sooner. And the referee definitely was part of the secret society, because Tim was the quote-unquote A side, and the referee was like, I ain't going to stop this fight, because if so, I may go home and be a goddamn horse head in my bed, and the mafia may come and chop my ass up and throw me over there in a river somewhere, because Tszyu was supposed to win. And you can see everything was set up for that man to win. They were not trying to stop that fight, even though that fight should have been stopped a lot sooner, man. And we've seen this happen. Pay attention. It happened in a lot of fights where you see the A-side guy get, allowed and give, given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to keep pushing along, and with the hopes that he may pull off a miracle and and turn things around. Tszyu just wasn't able to do that, and he just kind of ended up being in the same place where he stood after the first knockdown, going into the second and third rounds. He just never was able to recover, man. So it is what it is. And boxing is just a real malicious sport, man. And it's very unforgiving, man. But forget the politics of boxing. Forget how brutal the sport is. You can't keep getting hit with the same shots. And that's one thing that, when you have a real good fighter in the ring, you see them making adjustments after adjustments. I'm going to bring this up because the fight recently happened. When you look at Crawford and Majumov, the untrained eye doesn't appreciate that fight. Even Bivol and Bertabiev. But you're seeing that there are adjustments were being made throughout those fights. You know what I'm saying? Especially Crawford and Majumov. Both of them were just adjustments and just resetting and changing angles and trying different things. And it was like back and forth, back and forth. And I think what helped Crawford ultimately was the reach advantage, that jab, and him throwing that jab, stepping out to the right and coming back with the hook. That's something Crawford likes to do, and it's got him a lot of success in all of his fights, and it even worked with Majumov. But nonetheless, Tszyu doesn't have those layers to his game, and he's going to have to figure that out, because when you get a guy who can throw a short hook and time your right hand, that's a problem. And that's what was really killing Tszyu, is he was getting caught by those shots. And those shots were just kind of rocketing Tszyu, man. I mean, just getting him off of his feet every time. So we'll have to see. Nothing wrong with having a brave heart, but sometimes you got to save those guys from themselves. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder's another one who should have been saved from himself. I think Deontay Wilder and dumbass freaking Maliki letting him go and get destroyed like that against Tyson Fury. I think that really took a lot out of Deontay Wilder. Let a man get beat like that. And I know he was hurting Fury from time to time, but Fury just that shit was pretty hard to watch. I was like, he gonna kill him. Like that was hard to watch. Hard to watch. But anyway, man, sometimes a bravery can cause you to be reckless and come out here, man, with I would say like throwing uncultured shots, you know what I mean? Shit you really didn't work on, train on. It causes you to fight instinctively, to feel anxious, and to just start going into a fight or flight mode where all the skills goes out the window, and now you just start brawling, which is what I think Tszyu ultimately started doing, especially after that first knockdown. It was more brawling opposed to trying to box and use what skills he did have. It was more like, I got to hit this guy back hard. And as a result, Tszyu was fighting, not boxing, after he got clipped, because he knew he had to somehow hurt him and slow him down. But he wasn't even trying to go to the body. Everything was all to the head. And he did get the guy to think twice a couple times, but he just wasn't able to sustain his efforts, man. So that's just kind of what it happens. But, hey, when you get up in there with a guy who's been waiting for years for the opportunities, man, and sometimes they rise for the opportunities, man. And that's what Murtazaliev did, man. You know what I'm saying? And both of those guys showed the strength to go on, and one guy got to the finish line, the other one didn't. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. What's next for Tszyu? I don't know. But I just think it's really important for this man to focus on adjustments. And I think the one positive we could take from Tszyu getting clipped is that Tszyu didn't get destroyed over 12 rounds. He got bing bing for 3 rounds. The fight got stopped. So he's very fortunate in that case. But that being said, I'm not sure what his next move is going to be. But I think he should go train with his dad in Russia. That's just my opinion. Keep cool. I'm in the breeze.